In this session, we will discuss about the code deploy service and we will see the demo for the same. Hi everyone, this is Amol Shetty, Senior DevOps Engineer. In this particular session, we will talk about the code deploy service. Now before going to this session, we have already created a part 1 in which we have talked about the code commit service and we have also discussed the code build service in the part 2. And this is the part 3 of the code pipeline series. In this particular session, we're gonna discuss about the code deploy service. And after having this is integrating, creating all the 3 services, we are also going to stitch all of the services with the help of code pipeline. So in this session is not just about the code deploy, but we are going to discuss the 2 services here. One is going to be the code deploy and code pipeline. So how exactly we will be putting all these 3 services together with the help of code pipeline. Now here a prerequisite is that you should have understanding about the code commit and the code build service. By any chance that if you haven't watched the first 2 sessions, I'll put the link in the description so you may check out from there. Alright, so let's get started ahead. So here we will have the code. First of all, like let's say here we have someone who is a developer. Now developer is pushing the code via the laptop to the code commit. Now this is the usual workflow we have, that developer is going to push the code to the any of the repository like a source code management tool, and here in our case it is the code commit tool we have. Once the code is available to the code commit, we would like to take that code and we would like to build that particular application. Now once the application building is ready, we will get the artifact inside the S3 bucket. Okay, now we have already done this setup in the previous session. So in the S3 bucket we will get the artifact. Now that particular artifact we would like to take, okay, and with the help of code deploy service you would like to deploy that artifact on your EC2 machine, and everything has to be stitched together, like everything has to be in a working together, so that stitching is going to happen with the code pipeline service. So let's see ahead, let's go ahead and then see how exactly we will be doing all of this. So what we are going to do here, like right now I am on this EC2 dashboard page, and we have created in the previous session I already discussed, and I'm just repeat that thing here. So I have created one public repository, okay, and in this particular repository you will get the everything, okay. So here you'll get the code, okay, and along with that all the necessary files which required for your project, okay, everything is included already there, and you can check here. Okay, so this is I have created one readme file in which you should get all the information that how exactly you have to build the things. So last time we discussed about the code build, and this time we are going to speak about the code deploy service. So the very first thing here, you can see that what we have to do is we have to create an IAM role, and this role we are creating for a EC2 machine. Now in later stage what we have to do is we have to download the things on this EC2 machine. So here you can see like we have a EC2 machine, and here we have to deploy the code from the S3 bucket, like we have to copy the artifact from the S3 bucket, and for that purpose your EC2 like machine should have the permission to take the things from this S3 bucket, and that's the reason I'm going to create one IAM role here. Okay, I'm going to create one IAM role here, and for this role we will be attaching the necessary permission. Now the one permission is going to be the S3 bucket, and other permission is going to be the code deploy service, as it has to interact with the code deploy service. So this is something we will require later, okay, and then we need to attach this particular role. We need to attach this particular role to your EC2 machine, and that's the reason we will create this role at the very first step. Okay, so let's go ahead, and here I will look for the IAM service first. And here we will create one role for your EC2 machine. Just go to the role section, and here I'll click on the create role. Here at this point I'm creating the role for AWS service. You can choose your use case as the EC2 machine because you are creating the role for EC2 machine. And next, say next, and here you need to choose all the permission, that whichever permission you would like to attach. Okay, so the very first permission here I'm looking as S3 full access. Okay, Now you can create your inline policy in which you can put your which all S3 buckets you would like to have. Here I'm just like allowing all the S3 buckets. Okay, so I'm just giving the full permission here. The next permission I'm looking here, that is a code deploy. So here you see here the very first name is coming as like Amazon EC2 role for AWS Codedeploy. Okay, so this is exactly permission I'm looking for to have. So I'll select this one as well. So I'm done choosing two permissions here, and I'll click on the next now. It's asking me the role name. Okay, so I can give the name, a role name. Let's say this is we're doing for the so here I'll write that EC2 role for code deploy demo latest. Okay, so this is the name I'm giving. So just keep this name in mind, because in later stage we have to add this particular role to your EC2 machine. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the role. So here I'll say create role, and here we are done with the role creation with this particular name. Great. The next thing, once we are done with the role creation, we're looking for to create now EC2 machine. Okay, so we will require one EC2 machine. Okay, now here in this case I'm considering here to have one single EC2 machine, okay, for a deployment purpose. Now in your case you might be creating multiple machines with ASG or something like that. Okay, so in real time you would like to consider creating the machine with the ASG services. For this case I'm just going to have one single EC2 machine. So let's straight away go and create that machine. Now while creating, you just have to keep one thing in mind, that we will require something called as code agent tool. Okay, so because we should have the code agent tool that need to be installed after creating the machine. So what I'm thinking about, that I will add that particular creation of, or like installation of this particular tool, we will do it via user data script. And now that's what we do in real time as well, because this is something tool that it is something we require all the time. And if you are not launching, okay, like while launching, if you're not mentioning that to have this tool, then probably you have to log in back to your machine, and then you are going to put this command to install this tool. Okay, so I have created this user data script. So while creating EC2 machine, keep in mind that you just have to put this as a user data. So let's go ahead on AWS console, and here I will click on the launch instance. Okay, here it's asking me some name to put. Okay, let's say this is we are doing some demo, so I'll say demo code deploy, or I'll say code pipeline rather. Okay, so I'm just like saying code pipeline, demo code pipeline. This is what the name I'm giving. Okay, great. Now it's time to choose a AMI. Okay, so in my case I'm choosing the Ubuntu. Now make sure that guys, like whatever the AMI you're choosing, as per that this user data script is going to vary. Okay, so we are doing it for deploying the code deploy agent. So if in your case if you're choosing Amazon Linux, so just go and search that the commands to install the code deploy agent on the Amazon Linux, and as per that just mention the commands. So for in my case I'm just choosing the Ubuntu machine, and this is the user data script I'm going to have. So let's go ahead. Here I have chosen the Ubuntu. The instance type T2 micro is good to run the application, so I'm just keeping T2 micro. The key pair login, here I'll choose, let's say it's a Linux demo 111. This is the key pair I'm choosing. The network setting, I'm going to keep it all by default. Okay, so I'm just simply launching the instance in the default PPC. Let's go ahead. Here it's asking me to put storage. 8 GB is good enough to start with. Okay, so I'm just keeping same. In the advanced detail, I have to do two things. One is that I need to choose the IAM profile. Okay, so here we have created this role, which is EC2 role for code deploy. So this is a role here I have to select. Okay, so just note down your role name, or you may simply copy that particular role name. It is the EC2 role for code deploy. So here I'll go and I will just paste that one. Okay, Okay, so this is the role we have created, so let me choose that one. So here I'm adding that role which will have the S3 permission and the code deploy agent access. Okay, code deploy service access. Okay, so that's what here we are giving the permission to my EC2 machine. Let's go ahead to the last, and here I need to put the user data. So I can go and simply copy this particular user data. Okay, and here I'm going to paste that data here. Now here I'm doing one more interesting thing, and what's that? So if you see here the very first line, okay, now what is going to happen, like here whatever your script you are writing here, okay, like whatever the script you are writing here, if you want to see the output, so what I have done here is I have mentioned something, the user data output, that folder we are creating slash ubuntu. Okay, on this particular folder we have kept this particular folder, that is text file. So wherever this script is generating output, I should get output stored here. So std out and std error. Okay, if even in this case, if you got any error, so that error capture also happen within this file. So if I am interested to check like whether my user data like execution is successful or not, so I just have to go and check this particular file on, and here I should get all the information. Great. So this is something line is very important and interesting one. So I'm done mentioning my user data script, and it's time to launch your instance. So just click on the launch instance. Let's wait for instance to get create. And here you see now we have the instance is in the running state. So I can click on that, and what I would like to do is I just want to confirm whether my code deploy agent is running successfully or not. Like I have mentioned some user data script. So was it successful? I just want to confirm that. Okay, so I will simply copy the public IP from here, and I will open a git bash. I do have the key pair in my downloads folder, so I'll just go to downloads. Here I'll say sh-i. My key name was a Linux demo 111. Ubuntu is username @ the public IP, and here we are inside your machine. Now if I do ls, okay, so can you guys see here we have the user data output.txt. So this was the file I was talking about. So here I have mentioned some EC2 user data, and the very first line I have written that to store the output of EC2 user data within this particular file. Let's check it. Okay, so here you see that I have almost got the last thing, that is the started AWS Codedeploy agent. Okay, so the last command, if you see what is my last command in this particular code deploy. Okay, here you see that I was just starting the code deploy agent, or I can just copy this particular statement which is just checking the code deploy agent, and I can paste it here to just check whether the code deploy agent is running or not, and here you can see that it is running. Okay, great. So as expected, we have the code deploy agent running. Okay, now this is something we'll require ahead, and this is what we are like doing as a prerequisite portion. Okay, great. Now this is like till this time we are done with the second step, in which we wish to have execute this particular code deploy agent, and this is something we are done with. Okay, great. Right, let's go ahead, and here I just have mentioned, just make sure that you are attaching your IAM role. Okay, that's something we have already done, or I can show you that one. Okay, so if I go and scroll here, you can see that we have also attached the IAM role here. Great. The next step what we have to do is we have to create a IAM role for code deploy service as well. Okay, so in later stage we will require a code deploy service. We have to create that one, and for that purpose we will require the attach, like we have to create a IAM role. Now what here I'm referring actually, Okay, let's discuss here first. So here we have a code deploy service, right? Now code deploy service also has to interact with the S3 bucket, and it has to do deploy things on the EC2 machine. Okay, so that's the reason here we need to create one more IAM role for this code deploy as well. And here we will be attaching the S3 bucket permission and the EC2 access. Okay, so both of these permission we have to pass it to this code deploy service. Okay, and yes, so here I have mentioned all the permissions. So code deploy service will require permission of the S3 bucket, EC2, okay, and the code deploy itself. Okay, like it's its own service also, we will be providing the access. So let's go ahead and create one more role. I'll just click on the roles again. Here I'll say create role. Now this time it's again AWS service for which I need to create a role. Use case. Now it's a code deploy service, right? So just click on the code deploy service, and here I'll say next. It's now by default this is something the role is coming, okay, which is the AWS code deploy role. Now along with that I need to attach some extra permission. So like I will just add those later. Okay, so right now here I'm just going to say next. The role name, here I can say the role name is that let's give a name as the code deploy demo role. Okay, and I'll also say the latest here. Okay, so this is what the name here I'm giving, so just keep the name in your mind, and I'll go ahead and say create role. Now this is something the role we have created right now. Okay, what I'll do also here is I'll just duplicate this tab because for this role, okay, for this role we have to add extra permission. So I'll just search that role. Now this is a role which we have to add extra permissions. So I'll click on that, and here you see right now we just have code deploy. This is the only one permission we have. Along with that I'm going to add, say, attach policy. Here I'll search for the S3 bucket. So S3 full access I'm giving, and EC2 also it has to access, so I'm going to search for EC2, and here I'll provide the Amazon EC2 full access. Okay, so these two permissions I'm giving. Let's go ahead, and here I'll say add permission. Now we are done with providing all the three permission. Okay, and this is what name we have for this our role. So I'll just keep this tab and I'll just remove the earlier one. Great, so we are done with the one more step, which is the role creation for your code deploy service. Now next thing is like here we have to create the application that in the code deploy service. So just go, and right now we are going to create the code deploy application. So let's go ahead, and here I will go and search for the code deploy service. I will open this particular service in the new tab, and right now you see I don't have any service created, right? So what is required here, or like how I will be creating it, I'll click here on the getting started. Now first of all we need to create an application. Okay, first of all we need to create an application, and within the application we need to create something called as deployment group. Okay, so let's create the application. It's asking me to provide some name, so let's provide it. Let's say demo code deploy app. The next thing, compute platform, I'm going to say it is the EC2 machine, and just say create application. Now once application creation is done, under that you see here I have the option to create a deployment group. So basically here in the deployment group, in this particular deployment group, I have to mention that where I would like to do the deployment. Okay, on which all EC2 machines I have to do the deployment. So this is the place where I have to decide the thing. Okay, so here I'll say create deployment group. Next thing, it's asking me to give some name to my deployment group. Let's say demo deployment group. So this is name we are giving. The service role. Okay, I'll click on the service role, and we have already created the role. This is what the name we have. Okay, so code deploy demo role latest. Okay, this is the role we have for our code deploy service. I'll copy that one, and here under service role, here I'll paste that one. Okay, so this is the role we have, so just put that one. Okay, great. Now next thing, it's asking me how you'd like to do the deployment. So I have two options. In place is by default one, and the blue green I have the other option. Now what is different between two? So blue green is something in which, like, where I don't want downtime at all. Okay, I don't want to make my down service like when I'm doing some updation, or I'm doing some upgradation, or like whenever doing some new deployment. In such activities, when I don't want a single downtime, in that case we go for a blue green option, in which the copy of one more environment will get created like whenever you want to do a new deployment. And in such case, the pricing or like overall costing for the project is going to be the higher one, but this is like a safe option that you can choose for your production environments. So for this demo, I'm just like going with the default option, which is in place. In this particular case, like we have an EC2 machine, and within the same machine your deployment is going to apply the next whichever you are applying. All right, so here this is the option that I have already chosen, so let's go ahead. The next thing, it is asking me what is the environment configuration we have, on which machine you have to do. So in our case, it's the Amazon EC2 machine, for which I'm going to mention the my key value, basically a tag name. So it's a name of the machine is what it is. Let's confirm the name. So it's a demo code pipeline. Okay, so let's look for that name. It's a demo code pipeline. Now with this name, we have one unique machine found. Okay, you can see it's a one unique match we have found. So on this particular machine, we would like to deploy the application at last. Okay, so for that purpose, we have created that EC2 server. So great. So here right now, we can see that we're getting one unique match by using the tag name. All right. So the next thing here the next thing we have, that is the agent configuration. Now which agent they are talking about? So this is the code deploy agent they're talking about. Now you can say, or you can ask me the question, like at initial stage only, with the help of user data, we have deployed the code deploy agent. Now what this option is, basically the actual procedure is like this way, that you should be doing your code deploy agent installation by this way, but sometimes it takes some time, or sometimes it does not work. Okay, so the best practice is that you should manually install the code deploy agent within your machine. Now that's the same thing here we did. That code deploy agent software we have installed by ourselves. Okay, and right now I'm just like saying now. Okay, so let it be, or even if I just click on never, so that is also fine. All right, the next thing is deployment setting. I would like to deploy my application all app, like let's say I have multiple machine, I would like to just do the deployment all at once. Okay, so that strategy here I'm applying. The next thing, do I have any load balancer here? So I don't have any. I don't want to involve any, so I'll just like untick this option. And in advanced option, do I have any options? Like now triggering is something we can do, like we can trigger the events. Okay, so we can get some notification, and such option we can get it here. Alarm option we also have with the CloudWatch, you can configure that one. If you would like to do some rollbacks and such options, we have it here. So now we are done with mentioning all the configuration. So just click on the create deployment group. So here we are done with the deployment group creation. Now it's time to configure all pipeline together. Okay, so here we already have code available in the code commit service. Okay, now the next thing, here we have a code build service which we have built it in the previous session. And lastly, here the code deploy service building is also done. Okay, but we are not done with the fully code deploy service. Okay, we're still left with something. Now let's just talk about that part. So if I go to the code pipeline again, okay, here you can see now we need to, so after once we are done with the creating the application and the deployment group in the code deploy service, the next thing here we have to talk about something called as the abstract.yaml file. Now what this file is, okay, what this file is, so this file talks about the how exactly you would like to do the deployment. Okay, like here we have here the steps with which we will be doing. So the very first step here we need to create this particular abstract file. Okay, now we should have this abstract file, and what we are doing is that whichever is your artifact, okay, which is your artifact. Like from the build spec file, here we are going to consider some artifact. Here you can see, like here right now I'm saying all total files I'm considering as artifact. So all of these files I'm going to have that on the slash location, okay, and destination is going to be the like this path. And on this particular we are also giving the all permissions, like 755 permissions we are going to give for that particular artifact. Okay, now why we are doing, the next thing, with the abstract file we are going to simply copy those artifacts on your local machine. I mean to say the code deploy wherever we have to do the deployment. But along with that, after once we have the abstract file, we are mentioning something called as hooks. Now this is something very important, guys. Okay, like with the help of hooks only we do the actual deployment. Now here I am having like this is very equivalent of like a build spec file. In the build spec file we had some phases, right? So something like that. Here we have something called as before install. Now within the before install, what we are doing, we supposed to mention all your dependencies installation, like whatever your environment is, as per that whichever the software you require. So just have those all the tools within this script. So you need to write one script, and the location of that script is going to be along with your source code. Okay, so I'm going to show that one in few minutes, but just keep patience for that. So we are going to write two scripts. Okay, one is going to be the installing the dependency, and one is going to be the start server. Like here we will be running the application, and for that we are writing one more script here. Okay, now both of these scripts are also mentioned here, like within the same document. You can see that I have created abstract, and under that here I will have both of the scripts. So the under the script folder, okay, under the scripts folder I need to create these these scripts. Okay, so here this is going to be the content for my install dependencies. Like here for this script the content is going to be the here. Now just think, okay, what exactly things we required for this particular software to be deployed. We have a Java application. Okay, we have a Java application, and to run your Java application you will require a Java. Okay, you require a Java, and same thing here I'm doing. So I'm saying apt get update, and I'm installing the OpenJDK. That's a Java development kit. Okay, so it's a JDK is what here we are installing. Once we have a JDK available, okay, to copy the things from your S3 bucket to here. Okay, I'm also saying that here I'm also installing the AWS tool. Okay, that is the AWS CLI tool. The next thing here I'm gonna do what? I'm going to put the AWS SHCP command. We will copy the artifact from your bucket, and we will copy that at particular location. Now here just make sure to change your bucket name. Okay, so while copying just be careful that you will be putting here your bucket name. Okay, like wherever you are keeping your artifacts. Okay, so that particular artifacts here you will be that bucket name here you're gonna mention. So this is the one thing we are doing in this particular install dependencies.sh. The next script we have, that is for to run your Java application. Okay, like here we're gonna do what? We're gonna simply go to this path, and what we are doing here, we are copying saying s3cp. This is what our source is. Okay, like from this path we're gonna copy the jar file to which location? The location is going to be the /home ubuntu. Okay, so I will go to the /home ubuntu, and under that I'm going to say java-jar app.jar. So with this command I'm going to start my Java application. So this is the way that we will be we will be gonna do the deployment. So let's do all of these steps one by one. So as you can see, like if I show you this whole code, first of all I have already created the abstract file. Okay, here you can check abstract file we have. Along with that the script folder we have, and under that script folder you should find both of the scripts we already have copied. But when it comes to the your code commit code, okay, for that I haven't copied. Let me show you very quickly. So under the desktop I have new demo commit. Okay, this is the folder under which this is the particular folder we have considered. So inside that folder if I go and check, so this is the folder which is linked with my code commit service. Okay, so if I go and show you the code commit repository, so here this is the demo repo we have, and under that here you don't have the abstract file. Okay, so we will be pushing the abstract file here, the script folder also we will be pushing. So let me create those very quickly. Okay, now here I'll say first of all nano app spec dot yml. Okay, now just make sure one more thing guys here, that generally the YAML file is identified with the two formats. Okay, one is the YAML, okay, and other format is the YML. Okay, but code deploy service doesn't understand the YAML format. Okay, and that's the reason it's a compulsory thing to make it that YML. Okay, so while writing the abstract.yaml, just make sure that the extension of the file is YML and not the YAML. All right, so here I'll be creating this abstract.yml, and the next thing here I'll go to this code pipeline. From this path I'm going to uh, copy this abstract file. Okay, where it is? Yeah, here we have. Okay, so let me copy this file. Let me do it one more time. Here I've did, and here I'm going to simply paste that one. Okay, now what is anything else here we have to take care? No. Okay, we're good. So let me save this file and I'll get out of it. We are done with the abstract file. One more thing here we have to create, and that is the script folder. So as per your abstract file, the folder name is this one, scripts. Okay, so let me create the folder with the mkdir. I'll go to the script, and under which I'm going to create this two of the scripts. So just say nano, and here I'll paste that content. So this is the content I have to paste here. Okay, so I will copy from this to this and I will paste it here. Now the thing which I told you to take care of is the bucket name. Okay, now in my case this is the bucket in which I'm pushing my artifact from the code build service. Okay, or let me show you that one very quick. Okay, I'll just go to the S3 bucket, and here I'll find that bucket name. Let me see. Yeah, so this is the bucket name we have. Okay, I think I have deleted or something like that. Let me, yeah, so sorry, my bad. Okay, so in my case, in fact, the bucket name is different. Okay, so let me put this is the bucket name. Okay guys, so this is the bucket name where I have the app.jar file. So from this bucket, okay, from this bucket I have to supposed to copy the file, and that is what here I have to correct. Okay, so I will copy this bucket name, and I'm going to paste that one here. So this is the same thing you also have to take care. What is your bucket name in your case? Just identify that, like where you are pushing your artifact. Okay, so this is the bucket name here you have to mention. In my case, this is my bucket name where I have this app.jar file available. From that path I'll be putting that file name to the that /home/ubuntu. Great, so I'm done mentioning this particular script. I'm done writing this script. It's time to save the file. Say Ctrl O, press enter, Ctrl X to get out of it. Next thing here, the next script I have to write, which is this one, that is the start server.sh. Okay, so the file name is this one. Be careful about file name and everything guys. Okay, so that's the reason I'm just simply doing the copy paste everywhere, because I don't want to do any spelling error. This is what my script is, which is very simple one, like to run the Java application. We are mentioning the script here. Great. It's time to save this file. Control O, press enter, Control X to get out of it. And next thing is what? We are done writing all the script part. Okay, so as expected, here we are done with writing 2 of the script. And if you go back, you can check under the like here you're done with the abstract file also. So if I check git status now, you can see the abstract file and the script folder is something we have created. So let's add both of this thing to staging area, and it's time to say commit. So just say git commit, adding abstract file. So this is the commit message I'm giving, and just say push, git push origin master. So we are pushing our code, okay, from your local to the your code commit. Okay, so let's go and check that one. So if I see, okay, where is the code commit? I think I close that one. Yeah, here we have. Okay, so this is a demo. If I refresh this particular page, here you can see abstract file we have, and also the script folder. Yeah, here we have. Okay, great. So we are done with the providing the abstract file and the script folder, and under which we should have the both of these scripts. Okay, great. So now we are done with by providing the abstract file, which was the like major important step we have to do, and we are done with that. Okay, now next step is what? It's time to stitch the pipeline. Okay, it's time to stitch the pipeline. That we have to do what? Here we have to go to the code pipeline section. Now we'll be choosing the appropriate code commit service, we'll be choosing appropriate code build service, and we'll be choosing the code deploy service. Once like automatically one by one the things are going to happen, and at last we're expecting the this code deploy to deploy the application on the EC2 machine. Okay, so let's go and do that one now. So here I will go to the code pipeline, and this is a very important service that we have, which is we say the cicd of your AWS dev stack, right? So here I'm going to create a create pipeline. So just say create pipeline, and here we have, these are the stages. Okay, the very first thing, it's asking me to provide a pipeline name. So let's say demo code pipeline. Okay, so this is the name we are giving. Pipeline type, you can have anything, just go ahead. Here it is going to create the service role. Okay, now that service role creation will happen automatically with this name, so I'm not bothered about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let the AWS code pipeline service to create a service role for yourself. Okay, so it's a good thing. So let's go ahead. Now if you have any variables, okay, which you would like to mention to your pipeline, you can mention those here. In advanced setting, like artifact store is going to be default location, encryption is default. So just say next. Next thing, this is an important step. I need to mention from which is the tool from where I'll get the source code. In our case, it's a code commit. In your case, it could be the GitHub, it could be Bitbucket. You can store your code to S3. Okay, so we have a various options to do. I'm saying here code commit is the place from where I will receive the code. Repository name, now in this case I just have one, that is a demo repo. Branch name is the master, so I have chosen all the appropriate options here. Next thing is the change detection option. Okay, now this is the by default selected. Okay, now what this option is responsible for as soon as somebody is pushing the code to your code commit repo. Okay, here somebody is pushing the code to the code commit repo, your pipeline should get triggered. Okay, now that part will be taken care automatically by Amazon CloudWatch event. Now this is something the very good thing for us. We don't have to set up anything like a webhook or anything. Okay, this thing will be taken care automatically. Great. Next thing is the output artifact format. Okay, this is the default setting I'm keeping. And next thing, okay, once we are done with mentioning the code commit part, it's time to mention about the code build service. Okay, so here I'll just go and say build provider. under which I had two options. One is the code builds. Okay, so I'll choose the code build. Next thing, this region, okay, is going to be the same one. Okay, so I have selected here Mumbai region, which comes under the Asia Pacific zone. Okay, so that's a region we have. Next thing, the project name. Okay, under the code build option, which are project we have. So this is the demo build project we have. By any chance that you haven't created a project, okay, you can create a project by this way also. Just create a project and then later you can edit your project name here. Great. Any of the environments variable you have for your build project, you can mention those here. We don't have any, so let's go ahead. Say next. Here is the deploy service, and this is the place where we have to mention about like which is the where with what we are going to do deployment. It is a code deploy service that we are going to consider. The application name, we have one name, that's a demo code deploy app, and deployment group is also demo deployment group. Say next, and this is what here you can do the review what we are doing here. So whatever the steps we have followed here, okay, exactly here you can see all the steps here, the review you can do. And I will go last and say create pipeline. So we are done with the pipeline creation, and here we have particularly discussed about the code deploy and the code pipeline. Now you see that as soon as the pipeline creation is done, you can see that your pipeline execution has started. Now let's wait for some time, and step by step the things are going to happen. Okay, so we will be taking code will be taken from source code, then the building of the application is going to happen, and at last we are expecting to do the deployment on the EC2 machine. So I'm just going to pause this video right now, the recording, and then after that, once I'm done with the recording, once here the execution of the pipeline is done, I will just start the session ahead. Alright guys, you can see here as expected everything is like perfect, and here all the three stages is been done successfully. The code deployment is also happened successfully. Okay, so what were the expectation here? To take the code from the S3 bucket and then deploy it on the EC2 machine, which is something that was expected, and which is done. Okay, which is done. So can we check the results? Okay, so let's go and check the result. So I will go to my EC2 machine, and now here I can take the okay, let me tell you first of all, this is the Java application which runs on the port 8080, and if I am interested to see the result of the application, so I need to open the port 8080, and after that only I can see the result. So let me go to security, and then here I'm gonna open the security port. So here I'll say edit inbound rule, say add rule port 8080, and I'm just opening for all, and here I'll say save rules. So we have opened the security port 8080 for all, and now I should be able to access the application. Let's see. Here I'm taking the public IP, I'll put it in the new tab, and I'll say port 8080 and just press enter. Okay, and here we go. So we are getting the application result correct. Okay, great. But here I have to talk few more things. Okay, and what are those? So let's suppose that you did not get the result the way I got it. Okay, now obviously I have just made the documentation, and after that I have done. Okay, probably while setting it up for the first time, I might have also received few of the errors. So how to tackle those? Okay, so let's talk about the troubleshooting. So the very first thing here, especially the code build. Okay, here you can see the logs, and here you should be able to get all the logs that what is happening. So as your build spec file is whatever the showing to you, the logs, everything, that you should get it to see here. What about the code deploy? You don't be able to see the logs here. Okay, like code deploy, it doesn't show you the logs. Either you can store your logs to the code pipeline, the code CloudWatch service, and there you can see the logs, or you can see the logs within your EC2 machine. So let me show you how you can check those. So right now this is what my machine is, the code deploy agent, like this is a place where I have the code deploy agent running, and this is where I'm done with the deployment also, right? So what is the exactly place where I can see the logs? So I will get the logs under the var log, and under that we have an AWS folder, and under which I get this code deploy agent directory. Okay, and here you have the logs, so you can check the logs to see if everything is good. If everything is like here you have some error. Okay, now in this case I'm not getting any error, right? You can see the succeeded message, like this is something, the message you guys also should be able to see. When you see something like this big message, if any error you have, the way here it is written succeed, in that case you will have some failed return and you will have the error written here. Okay, the first line itself will tell you the error. You can copy that error, you can just google it what this error is about, and that's how you'll come to know what missing, what thing you are missing. Okay, now this is the one thing. Okay, this is the one thing. One more thing here we can do about deployment is that we have something that is a slash opt directory. Okay, now under which we have this code deploy agent. Okay, now this is a place where here all the things are happening by default. Okay, you can see we have so many things. Now under which we have this deployment route. You can just go to this deployment route, under which you have like here you have, these are the, this is something that we get the number while doing the deployment. Okay, so you can just go to this directory. Inside that, right now we have just done the one single deployment, and that is what here deployment number is. Okay, like that here besides to this you will have so many directories created. Okay, if I just go to this directory now, okay, you can see I have this bundle.tar and deployment archive. If I go to this deployment archive, here I can see all the files. Okay, exactly all the files and code here I have. So like here, this is the place where by default the code deploy agent is putting its all the files. So yeah, so this is what I also wanted to show you. Great. So we have done successfully the code deployment. Okay, and here you can see that our application is also running fine. So yeah, so this is that's it for this session, guys. Okay, if you like the session, please consider to subscribe this channel, and yeah, say any questions, doubts you have, so do ask this in the comment section. I'll try my best to respond you earliest. So see you there in the next session, guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.